You're welcome to this channel. My name is Simi. I'd like to thank you for taking time to watch this video. So today we'll be talking about key points to note before or while writing your project. So depending on your area of specialization, but generally a research project usually have things like the background of the study, statement of the problem, methodology, literature review, and also, a conclusion, and all of that, depending on, like I said, specialty. So today we'll be focusing on key things to note under three sub-heading: the background of the study, the statement of the problem, and the abstract. So the very key things that you may want to look out, and also I may also want to look out when making a research project. So the first thing, let's talk about the background of the study. The background of the study is just more like a history of what you're talking about, what you're writing about. If you're writing about, for instance, a problem, you should be able to talk about the history of that problem. For you to be able to do this, you can also trace the problem from where it started, or trace the concept from where it started up until now. So you're doing something about it. You have to trace it. You have to be able to, give a very good account as per the history of the problem. Another thing that is very key is the statement of the problem. So here you're telling your readers what warranted your study. The person that will be reading this would not be in doubt. Why are you taking this course to study this? Why are you taking this course? What is the problem you want to study about? You need to state it. So that's where you're stating what is the problem you're studying about. And what is the nature of the problem? That's the first thing you want to think. The first key point here on the statement of the problem. What is the nature of the problem? What is the magnitude of that problem? That's the second thing you want to think about. What have key important scholars done about that problem? The third thing you should be thinking about. The fourth is, what did they find? What did they find? You should be able to state that. It is very key. What did they find? The sixth key point you may want to know: what are the gaps which the work is going to fill? What are the gaps? You should have that in mind. Because when you take a very key analysis of what people have done and what you will be doing, that should be able to tell you that there are certain gaps that were not covered, and that's what you intend to fill. What is the significance of the work being studied? That's the seventh point. What is the significance of the work being studied? I am a student of sociology. So we usually would say, what is the sociological significance of this work being studied? So you have to ask yourself, what is the sociological significance of this work being studied? You can also use statistics to capture attention. That's an 8th point. You can use statistics to capture attention. You can say a certain XYZ number of, writing has been done in certain situation. You can include statistics, data, to be able to grasp the nature of what you're writing about. So when it comes to literature review, one key point, even though it's not part of the content for today's discussion, but it's something that you should note, that you must have scholars whose work you have reviewed. You must have scholars whose work you have reviewed. The scholar's work must be close to what you're writing. It must be close to what you're writing. You have to respect the date that these scholars made the writing. The person who wrote first, or this person said this first. You have to respect the date and who said what first. E.g., this person and this person looked at this problem from this perspective. This person and this person looked at this issue from this perspective. You use their work to justify yours. So that is why you are researching. It's a research project. So, another thing is the aim. Most likely you should state your topic. The aim of your topic is very straightforward. This is why I intend writing this project. This is why I chose this. This is a certain reason. You could have one aim or whatever. Objective, it's very key. You have to be very specific when writing your objective. You have to be very, very, very specific when writing your objective. So, at this point, when writing your objective, you should also state your objective in a way that you carry variables, the independent and the dependent variables. You should examine, most times when people like writing their objective, they use terms like examine, define, evaluate, find out. So these are just things to be able to keep you in line. It helps to keep you in line. You need to look at it from the point of, okay, I'm finding out these and we are yet examining these. So these objectives are very key. So like I said, you need to have all of this. You need to have your aim, you have your objective, you're speaking on the problem. All of this you think, the things you put together, it's what makes your project, your research rich. So if you have questions, you can put them on a comment section and hopefully I should be able to respond. Objectives can turn to research question. So once you have an objective, you can say the objective is to examine why there is high rate of academic success in XYZ institution. So through that objective, you will be able to count questions. You'll be able to count questions. So you cannot count questions that may help you. The research questions usually come up from your objective. When you have your objective is when you need to ask questions. What are the levels of trainings? What are the levels of hours, the number of hours that students spend time in studying in this institution? So that is how you draw out your research questions. So once you're able to have your objective, you will now be able to draw out your research questions. The more questions you bring, the more questions you ask, it is just a way of bringing out the content, the issue, the real richness of your work. The more questions you ask. So you need to be able to draw a lot of questions, think about questions that can come out of that objective. It's very key. How do you ask your research question? How does? You don't need to say is there sometimes, but you can be able to frame questions. So once you frame your questions, you now have a lot of things you may be able to use to be able to guide what you're writing, what you're making your research on. It will keep you on the kind of materials that you now start researching and looking out for to get more information. So there's one very interesting book that really helps me in research projects like that is Hell Babies, the basics of social research, the practice of social research. So you can research about that, and I hope that you find it. I think I had one, the 2017 edition, so you can actually research on that book. It can help you. Another thing that we had said when we talk about the third thing is the abstract. Our abstracts are very key. Our abstracts most times, and it must be written until you are, when you're done with your work. When you're done with work is when you write your abstract. It should be between 250 and 300 words. No indent, no spacing, no italic, single line spacing. Depends on your institution's guidelines. So your abstract is just like, once you're done with everything, you look at the whole work and you begin to pick certain elements from what you put in the beginning of your work. Another thing that is also part of the preliminary chapters, because the abstract is part of the preliminary chapter, is the acknowledgement. It's the acknowledgement. You have to be able to write your acknowledgement. It's about talking about those people that have assisted you in making the research project, people that have supported you, people that have be of immense valuable support to you, maybe personal or as a student. So you can think of lecturers, assistants in the field, supervisors, as a case may be, your peers, your colleagues, and all of that. So another key thing that you may want to also treat is the sample size, sample techniques, method of data collection, what is the result, what is the recommendation, and the contribution to knowledge, and also the theory. The theory is very essential. Your theory is going to guide how you write. Your theory is going to guide how you write. It will guide how you write. For instance, I have some definition of theories here. A theory is an idea or a set of integrated statements that explains the link or connection between a behavior and the factors assumed to have caused or have affected it. So you have to be able to look at this theory, whatever kind of theory. For me as a sociologist, I look at my theory, I study my theory. It helps me to know what I will be considering in the course of my writing. So these are very key points that you can consider or think and put in the back of your mind when writing your project. So at this point, I'd like to say thank you for paying attention to this video. I do hope to make more videos, God willing. And if you have questions, you have comments, and you want to educate other people, this is a very good time to drop a comment. And I hope that you like this video, and thank you.